Welcome to my presentation of forest technology for forestry in protected areas. I'm very grateful for given the option to present our technology in this context. We have recorded this this presentation earlier, and my name is Felix Furst. I'm CEO of HSM in Germany. The subject is about forestry in protected areas. There you have special conditions for the forestry and the timber harvest. Very often it is important to have permanent forests. You have recreation area for people, you have wildlife reservoirs, and you often have to hold restrictions, environmental restrictions of a higher level than in normal forestry. Nowadays, the timber harvest is practically always mechanized due to the shortage of human labor. The cut-to-length technology is clearly dominating. This gives us the option of doing thinnings rather than clear cutting, and to have permanent forests that would be with different species, different ages of trees, mixed stands, and natural-like forests. The impact on the soil in protected areas is watched very carefully, and here we are talking about the options that the forest technology can contribute to reaching these restrictions. To avoid the soil disturbance and especially rotting, you can of course try to work in frost periods where you have a few centimeters, quite a few centimeters of frost in the soil. You know yourself that these periods are more and more limited in your area, in Lithuania too. You can try to use the plastic mats, especially conifer stands, to protect the soil, but it is often the case that you have to drive with the transport vehicle, the forwarder, much further than in standard forests, because you have to avoid a higher density of truck roads to protect the area for different reasons. Next thing is you can use on the forwarders, 8-wheel forwarders, you can try to use the flotation trucks if necessary on the bogies. We propose also some advantages, wide rubber tires with low inflation pressures, to be described later. The next and strongest option is to you're using for sensitive soil anyway 8-wheel drive forwarders, but the options of 10-wheel drive forwarders are really significant. Here we have the Bigfoot concept, which mostly means bigger tires. The standard in the industry is 600, 710 or 800 millimeter width, but most of the tires are 710. The diameter of the 26.5 tires is 1.33 meters, and the tracks go from 860, sometimes wider, to up to 950. On Bigfoot, the Bigfoot tires are really called 54 inch in diameter, 37 inch in width, and on rims 25 inch. So 54 times 37. 25. Width is 940 millimeter in metric, and the diameter is 1.46 meters. The tracks under the load are 1.34 meters wide, in the front that there's less weight. They are 1.20 meters wide. This gives the Bigfoot's footprint an extra footprint of 46% with the tires, or when comparing with trucks, an extra of 56%, which is a significant increase of productivity for soil conservation. Here you see the picture of how the machine looks with these big tires. Why is it unique to HSM? HSM is the only supplier that can have these tires on the forwarders within the range of 3 meters, which is for on-road transport and also for use in the forest, a critical limit. Other manufacturers can use it too if their axles are strong enough for this, but the width is then often 40 centimeters extra. Here you see on the right side that we can have the total width of 3 meters with the tires 940 millimeter wide, and this leaves us not much space in the middle for the chassis. And when using the tracks, this goes up to 3 meters 40, which is 4 meter skidding lanes acceptable. How much does this conserve the forest soil? We did a test in Lorraine, France in 2011 in cooperation with the State Forest Administration there. We were driving on the same day with the same timber load and comparing rut width. It was a John Deere 810D with 710 tires and flotation trucks, and HSM208F 11 tons with the 940 tires and no trucks, and the 28F with 710 tires and trucks, eco trucks, so universal trucks. On the right side, you see the rut depths. The blue color shows ruts from 5 to 15 centimeters, and the red color indicates ruts deeper than 15 centimeters. You see that, of course, the heavy HSM machine is doing the deepest ruts. The lightweight John Deere on the left side is also doing taking a few holes of more than 15 centimeters, but it is better than the HSM. And outstanding is the HSM Bigfoot, which does not produce any ruts deeper than 15 centimeters. So by far the best solution. Here you have to say that this was in a hardwood area, no brush nut, and the crane of the small machine was not really able to do the job, so it had to be the timber had to be prepared because the loading was very hard for the crane on the lightweight machine. So here you have a strong test result of the flotation of the 940 tires is way above the use of tracks on the standard tires. In 2015, we did another test in Germany for certification of our trafficability on sensitive soil. We were this time comparing on the same machine, the 28F 11 ton, tires 940 millimeter, tires 710 millimeter, and tires 710 millimeters with tracks. You see, first of all, the machine that was running over that meadow, and we had several short skidding lanes, and it was one after the other being driven by the different versions of the tires. And on the right side, you see the result. You see that the deepest ruts were being created by 710 millimeter tires without trucks. The second deepest was with 710 millimeter and bogey trucks, and by far the best result was only with the Bigfoot tires. The number of overalls is here, so we were driving with this load up to 20 times over the same location. You can see the rods. So it was going with the Bigfoot. We were staying at a little bit over 10 centimeters, and with the tire 7 and 10 millimeters, we were reaching up to 25. Here you can see also how it's a photogrammic version of documentation. On the left side, you see the 940 tires. Then you see the 710 tires. And on the right side, you can see the 710 tires plus the tracks. So this is shows clearly how the outstanding flotation of the Bigfoot tires. Then in 2017, 18, 19, we were developing a new system for wetland that is the triple bogie. The triple bogie is a development done by HSM, which uses this kind of bogie axle, where you have 3 instead of 2 drill wheels per side. You see then that the area under the load is significantly increased. It's more than 3 times as big. It's plus 225%. So this is outstanding. With testing it, it's a little bit difficult because there's practically no machine that can work where we are working. In practice, it's really hard to walk there because you sink into your knees if you're driving where you find the limit of this machine. But in any case, it's clear that this version is absolutely outstanding. It's maybe a purpose-built machine for wetland, but it's also being used without tracks, and it gives this limited extra cost per cubic meter with an outstanding soil conservation. We have tested it in Saxony in 2018-19. On the wetland, it's kind of the wettest, for one of the wettest forest areas in Germany. It's in the Leipzig area. You see that we have developed, together with the tire and rim manufacturer, we've developed a system where we can go lower in the inflation pressure. Under the engine and cabin chassis, we go down to 1.4 bar, which is very low compared to the pressure that you're driving with the 710 tires and tracks. You're usually using a pressure between 4.5 and 5.5. Then we have the triple bogie. And the middle wheel has an inflation pressure of 2.1 bar, and the front and the rear wheel 1.8. This is now giving us outstanding results. You see the rod depth. I hope you can see it here. This is the 0 line, and this would be the 10 centimeter line. And you see here, you have the tons transferred over the location. So this is representing quite often driving over it. You can say per driving over, you have a load with the machine of maybe 35 tons and 30 to 35. So here you see this is 300, so 350. This would be correspond to something like 10 times driving over. You see the result here of the machine without the tracks and with the optimized pressure. And then you see other versions. We did not compare here to 710 tires because the difference is too big then to see, but we have done it in other charts. So the results all in all, the tires, Bigfoot tires 54 times 37.5 are offering real outstanding flotation and soil conservation with and without tracks. And this is way above the state of the art, which is of interest for protected areas. The optimized inflation pressure cannot be used for tracks, and then you have to pump up the tires in a higher pressure. But if you're driving only with the rubber tires, you use this increased inflation, and the difference is massively, as you've seen in the charts. The 10-wheel drive triple bogie then sets a new level of flotation with or without tracks. This is for wetland, peatland, but also, of course, for conserving the soil. The unique feature of the HSM28F 11 ton or 12 ton is it stays under the critical width of 3 meters with Bigfoot. This is the same if you use the triple bogie. I come to the conclusion of my report. In protected areas, you want to avoid the clear cutting and also a lot of new forest roads for timber harvest, meaning truck roads. And with the system of the triple bogie and Bigfoot, especially with the rubber tires rather than the bogie tracks, we are offering significant advantages for limiting the impact on the forest soil, especially rutting. This technology makes timber harvest in protected areas productive and environmental friendly, which is a good solution to the challenge. So thank you very much for your attention. As it's not live, I cannot answer any questions, but anybody who's interested in more information can see some facts on can find some information on our homepage, but otherwise don't bother writing an email to me. We have much more information on this subject. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good further information exchange on your show. Thank you. Goodbye.